Welcome to the Default Profitable Podcast. You're listening to the next episode. Today, we're going to focus on a business that you probably are aware of, but don't spend a lot of time thinking about. We're going to hear some successes, some failures, and some actual lessons from a real business owner. I'm your host, Matt Nettleton, and today my guest is James Coppola. James, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you having me on.
Looking forward to this. So why don't we start at the very beginning? You and I we've met briefly, but why don't you take 2 or 3 minutes, introduce yourself and your company to everybody listening?
Well, my name is James Coppola, originally from upstate New York. Spent 15 years on the business side of motorsports. That was fun for a while. Got tired of living out of a suitcase and traveling every weekend. And this shows you how old I am, Matt. I was actually looking on Monster, the old job message boards way back when, and opportunity came about with this franchise. Been there, done that. They were relatively new. It was a busy time in my life. Just got married, just gotten a kid, and here I am looking to start a new career. But I think a lot of people have aspirations to be their own boss, control their own destiny, and took the leap of faith in fall of 2011. And here we are 12 years later with our company, Been There, Dump That. So it's been a fun ride. We've learned a lot, and we just keep growing, trying to keep the balls in the air, and working with your spouse is extra tough too. So that's been an added element as we've maneuvered and contoured our way through the business process.
So, first of all, what part of upstate New York?
Hour north of Cirque, basically Canada. I grew up playing hockey, and we would cross into Kingston, Brockville like it was crossing the street. Heck, I don't even think you need to show an ID back in what was it, the 80s. So
Yeah.
Going there was just like going down an hour south to Syracuse and went an hour 30 minutes north to Canada. And people joke around. They're like, "How'd you get involved in the trash business?" And I tell them, "I'm Italian. I'm from New York. Pay your bills. That's all you need to know." So, no, it's been
That's all you need to know. So you end up in the racing industry, and you get tired of traveling. How did you decide to get into the dumpster business, and what was it that drew you to it?
I'm going to back up even a little bit more. Graduated from college at UNC Charlotte, which is hot racing country, right in the middle of NASCAR country. Yep. And did a lot of internships. And I still swear, I mean, nobody's ever asked me about my college degree. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. Nobody cares about it. But the most valuable thing I did wasn't anything I learned in the classroom. It was doing the internships outside of the classroom. I did one with Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts back when websites were first starting. So that tells you how long it's been. And then did several internships in motorsports. And I told myself, the last thing I'm going to do is get involved in motorsports. There's no loyalty. People change jobs every year, every 2 years. And lo and behold, May of 99, I jumped into motorsports and did that for 15 years. So did that. And then, as I said, looked on the old Monster job boards for a new opportunity. Something that the wife and I could be involved in. Didn't want a storefront. We had so many people that owned restaurants. You don't want to get involved in the food business. That's the last thing you want to do. And, here we are 12 years after that with the Been There, Dump That location in Indianapolis. We also owned one in Columbus, Ohio, which we've since sold, and just keep plowing forward with it.
All right. So I'm going to ask this, and I think I know the answer, but typically when people start a business, they're in one of two camps. One camp is they're passionate about the industry, and the other camp is they see an opportunity to make money. Mm-hmm. Which camp would you be in?
Well, I was just excited for that entrepreneurship. But again, after talking to so many friends and family members, of course, a lot of food stuff came across my desk as we were looking at opportunities and as I said, nobody had a good word to say about the food business, and I don't think one person even recommended going that route. And that's not to slam the food industry at all. Obviously, it's important. People make money at it, but it just I don't think it was a good fit for us. The trash side, this was, right after 2008 and 9, which, we saw the recession or whatever you want to call it, the downturn in the economy. And while nothing's recession proof, people are always going to have trash. You look at the bigger picture, the Indianapolis market, it's a growing market. People coming in, building new houses, construction. So it was a good fit for what we're doing, getting involved in the waste management industry.
All right. So when you think back to 2011, I mean, you weren't fresh out of college. You had done a bunch of stuff. You knew what you were kind of getting into. What do you wish you knew before you started?
Some of the early hiccups when we got started was just the government regulations. I can remember calling to make sure we had the proper permits, calling government agencies and not being able to get a straight answer. I can't tell you how frustrating that was. I mean, they would literally say, well, I don't know, or I don't want to be responsible for telling you something wrong. And I'm like, I see that all this is required, but here I am calling you to try to do the right thing, make sure we have the right licenses, making sure we have the right permits. And it was just, I felt like going in circles. I mean, it was the frustrating experience for that. And, certainly we worked through it, but, it was tough.
So it sounds like what it really was just the administrivia of government and all the BS regulatory capture that businesses get caught in that nobody thinks about.
Yeah, and it was just frustrating. Again, trying to do the right thing, calling to make sure our I's were dotted and T's were crossed. And literally, we had a government employee say, I don't know, and I don't want to be responsible for telling you something. And I'm like, well, if you're the people that we're supposed to be calling, what are we going to do? And thank God, as a husband and wife that are in this business, Lori does the yeoman's work on the licensing and the CFO stuff. So God bless her. She had to do a lot of that. I'm more of the sales and marketing side, but it was frustrating. It was a frustrating process. Needless to say, we pushed through, but even to this day, I would still say the government bureaucracy is still one of the toughest things to push through as laws change, as taxes and things like that. And again, we want to do the right thing, but sometimes it's hard just to get that answer.
It is awesome to know that we get to pay to make our lives more difficult as business owners.
100%, 100%.
So when you think back to before you started, how much of a business plan did you start with, or did that really come with the franchise?
They were very instrumental in that process. One of the things that we did was we had the opportunity to call existing locations. Now, granted, there wasn't many in the States. We were probably like the 10th one in the States, and there's close to 100 now. So it was very early on in the process. But being able to talk to some of those that had been around for a little bit, get their thoughts, get their feedback was good. It was reassuring. But I think ultimately I had confidence in Lori and I that we were going to hit a home run. I mean, we had big expectations when, we started this. Yes, we started with Indianapolis, but we were already thinking bigger picture. We were thinking Cincinnati market, Dayton, Ohio, the other surrounding markets for us. So we had probably loftier goals than a lot of people that were looking to get started. But the outline, it was there. Kind of the roadmap was there, but again, being new in the system, I'll be honest, we introduced a lot of stuff, 10 years ago that they've incorporated today. So I think we've helped the franchise grow along with our growth and in the business itself.
And when you dip back into the search, so it's interesting. 2 episodes ago, I actually interviewed a franchise selection coach. So he helps people find a franchise. Now, I guess my first question is, did you use somebody or did you just find it on your own?
No, goes back to that monster message board that had this opportunity to buy the franchise, and then they had their sales rep. He was a unique character, but we hit it off. And then probably one of the most reassuring things was we had a rep fly down. Actually, the franchise is Canadian, based out of Toronto. That came down, met with him face to face, kind of hit it off, looked at the area from his perspective, being in the business, and said, "Yeah, the Indianapolis market's strong. I think that you guys, are good candidates, but I think you're also in a strong market. There's no, blackout restrictions. There at that time there wasn't a lot of competition. It's probably gone up 400% since then, but here we are, and I don't regret it. The only regret I have, and I think I alluded to this earlier, when people early on in the process, hey, like you're asking, what would you do different? Would have started it 5, 10 years earlier.
Yeah, it's been interesting because the lessons are, I wish I knew this, or I wish I had that, or I wish I'd done a better business plan, but nobody ever says I wish I didn't do it.
Right.
Everybody's like, this is what I was supposed to do, and move on. And it doesn't matter whether it's selling lasagna out of your kitchen or starting a trucking company. Everybody seems pretty much like, I'm happier here.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. And the franchise has been there from a support standpoint. But quite honestly, Matt, we get just as much value being able to talk to the other operators across the country. Since we've started, we've brought 5 people in, one of them being our own customer that saw the quality of service that was provided. He launched a location in Fort Wayne. We had another friend in Grand Rapids. A kid I grew up playing hockey with in New York has a location in Tampa, Florida. So we brought a lot of people to the dance. Everybody's doing great, and it's been a fun and certainly rewarding process.
so let me ask you a question. When somebody comes to you and they're, I don't know where your 5 friends came from, when they come to you and say, hey, listen, I work for a big company, but I think I'm going to go out and do something on my own. What do you tell them to either convince them to do it or convince them it probably isn't for them?
You know what? For the most part, I really haven't said, "Hey, I don't think this is the right path." I will tell you, we've had some friends that maybe kicked themselves in the butt because they decided not to do it. We had a friend interested in the Pittsburgh market that passed, and the current operators are doing great there. But I think looking at the people that have gotten involved, one of them was on the pharmaceutical sales side that was just looking to take a step back. Another one was on the corporate shoe side that had seen the corporate life, kind of the political game that's involved in that. And we're just, again, I don't know, I call it the American dream, being your own boss, but control your own destiny, not have to answer to anybody. This is a unique business, and it's a simple process. Somebody calls, orders a dumpster, you deliver a steel box on their driveway, they fill it up, and you haul it away. It's not rocket science, but and I say this many times, I feel like a broken record. So many people don't get the basic blocking and tackling. Answer your phone, do what you say you're going to do, and don't screw people over. It's not hard, but so many businesses, I don't care if it's us or a pizza place, don't do those 3 simple steps.
Yeah, it's so there was a poll on LinkedIn a week ago, and it made my head explode because the question was, is it important to respond to an inbound prospect call within an hour? And 59% of the people said not at all, or only if you can.
Yeah. See, I object to that wholeheartedly. I'm on our office staff if they're not within 5 minutes or less. If they're not responding within minutes. And here's my thinking on that, Matt. We're in such a want now society. If I want a big screen TV and I go to Best Buy and they don't have it, I can go to Costco, I can go to Amazon, and I'm going to have that thing within 24 hours. And I think that's just the society that we live in. Sometimes price becomes secondary. They're just mind is set, they're laser focused, and I want that new TV, or gosh darn it, it's a gorgeous Saturday. We're going to clean out that garage we've been putting off for 2 months. I want this dumpster now. Who's going to be able to get it for me?
Right.
Get it to me. So, they'll send in some inquiries or call. And if that first person doesn't answer, they don't give up. They're just going to keep dialing. And then the first person that answers and says they can get it to them, sold.
Right.
But that's, I find that astonishing that people have that mentality. But again, I just think it goes back to that premise of those three basics that so many business owners don't get. We saw it a lot in motorsports. My 15 years in motorsports, there's some great people, mean well, honest as the day is long, but their business practices, just weren't there. We got 10,000 people come to this race and we only have 400 hot dogs. Oh well, they don't look at it as, man, I could have had 2,500 to the bottom line that night if I just would have stocked properly.
Right.
So it's, I don't want to say we do everything right, and we've learned over the years, but a lot of it's not hard. It's truly not.
Well, and I'm just going to disagree with one thing that you said. And you said sometimes price is unimportant. And I think it's always unimportant if you answer the phone and do what they want. They'll pay you. Everybody's got money.
Right.
They'll pay you.
Yeah.
You just have to be there and answer their questions.
And sometimes it's a teaching process, hey, this product's $20 more, but let's take a step back or let's take a step above and look at this. You got 5 guys on the job site that you're paying $20 an hour. If they have to move that material twice or they're standing around for an hour, how much does that $20 more just cost you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah. And then people don't get that. Or even in this industry, we see people with, dump trailers and they're, bringing their own trash to the landfill. Well, guess what? You might be sitting at the landfill for an hour and you got a craftsman that's driving that dump trailer. That guy's way more valuable to you on the job site doing trim work than he is standing in his Chevy truck at the landfill waiting to dump the load. So, some of it's an education process. Some people are hard-headed in their ways, but, we try to make the process simpler for them and be that friendly, staff, that person, because people call. Some of them have never ordered a dumpster before. Hey, cleaning out my mom's house. I'm flying in from Dallas. We're putting her in a nursing home. We're going to donate what we can, but there's a lot of stuff that we can't use. So we try to, take it like, hey, pretend your grandma's calling. Let's find them the right size dumpster, what they need. We're not overselling them. We're not giving them more than what they need. And we're here to help them. And that's, I don't know, business basics again.
Yeah, very fundamental. So if 2024, James, could sit down the night before you open your business in 2011 and say, listen, just so you know, everything works out great, but here's the one thing you need to focus on first. What would it be that you should have focused on first in 2011?
I thought you were going to spin that around and look at 2024, because I'm going to answer your question the way I thought you were going to answer it, and then we'll go back to that. Because in our industry, COVID had effect on everybody. Look at how many businesses shut down because of COVID. Look at, the hardships that people went through and all that. But in the construction industry, it didn't slow down. If anything, it got bigger. We got busier. People were, not taking those vacations, so they were investing in their house. And so we look at the last 3 years, and now we're sitting saying to ourselves, what's the norm? Are we going back to the 2021 before COVID to 2020 to 2019? Is that spike we saw during COVID, is that just a blip that, we're never going to see that again? So that's the one thing we're looking at now as business owners, especially in this industry, is okay, that was, some bumper crop season, you know what I mean? And, what is that norm now? What is, do we go back 4 years to say, hey, if we're up 5% over 2020, is that good now? And just kind of throw 23, 22, and most of 21 out the window. Because again, if anything, COVID had a positive effect on us just because people stayed home and did so much remodeling. I think if looking at it today, going back to your original question in 2011, again, we had that broader picture. We just quadrupled in size fast. I mean, we hit the ground running, and our biggest thing was managing the growth. Not getting too far ahead of your skis. And this is this is a business that's assets are expensive. It's a $125,000 truck. It's a $4,000 steel box. And the other thing is, if my truck breaks down, I can't go to Enterprise and get another one. They're unique. So again, going back to COVID, part shortage, labor shortage. In our industry, I got to have $300,000 in trucks sitting on the sideline just for a rainy day.
Just maybe.
Yeah, just maybe. So it's again, it's not all peaches and ice cream like some people think it is, and that's it for every business owner. You're going to have your nuances that you have to deal with, but looking back, I think we manage growth well, but again, we had those loftier expectations where, we wanted to get up to the 10 trucks, the 300, 400 dumpsters, and be able to serve, not only the residential customers, but also the commercial customers in the area, the contractors, the new home builders, and things like that. So our biggest thing was just managing the growth. Again, not getting too far over your skis. And it was a different world back then. I'm so thankful that we're not starting today with interest rates,
Oh.
The way they are, and that we see it now. All these new people starting, and just the cost of goods, what something cost in 2011 versus what it costs today. It's a big difference. I mean, I count my blessings every day that we started when we did versus what we do now, because we need to make more acquisitions today, and it's like, oh, I'm paying 50, 75%, sometimes 100% more than what we did way back when. So it's a totally different landscape, but again, no regrets. Happy that we've done it, and just keep moving forward.
So that's a quick 22 minutes so far, but I guess the final thing to wrap up is, if you were talking to somebody who is a new or aspiring business owner, is there anything else other than just get started that you would start with?
Going back to us again, being from upstate New York, wife is from Illinois. We didn't have, Uncle Johnny's friends. We didn't have those relationships built in here. So it can be done. It certainly would have been a lot easier if, my uncle owned a construction company and had some built-in business. But, I certainly had some connections through my motorsports days, but they don't need exactly a lot of dumpsters. They need tires and race car parts. But
Yeah.
so, we took a leap of faith. I think, it's okay to do that. It's funny. It's very coincidental that we're doing this today. I had a friend that just got laid off in New York, but he's in the craft beer industry, which is tough. And something was just presented to him about another brewery that shut down, the opportunity to buy it. And, I see the text going back and forth about the pros and the cons, and should the wife quit her job? Should she help? So there's a lot of variables, but being an entrepreneur, it's, you're taking risks. I mean, for me personally, it was my 401k. There was an opportunity to do that 401k rollover, I think. I don't know the technical term. So every penny that I had saved up, went into that. It wasn't like I had a $500,000, $1 million sitting on the sidelines that we can invest. It was like, okay, here's your future, don't screw it up. So
Gamble it all.
yeah. So I put it all on black and let's go. But, again, it's fortunate it's worked out, and having the flexibility to travel, enjoy time with the little guy, and do what we do has been great. And again, it's not rocket science. You talk to business owners every day, and it's sometimes you just simplify things, and
It's so basic. I mean, answer the phone, you know, answer the question on the phone, and then do what you said you were going to do. I mean, if I could give somebody like some basic advice, that would be a pretty good place to start.
100%, 100%. And what you do is valuable. And I know when we had the opportunity to sit down at the Baggy event, and and learn from you. That was good. But it's, a lot of it's the networking. What's the other saying? People do business with people they like, people they trust. And that's so much of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up. So everybody, if you're interested in learning more about Been There, Dump That, and James, you'll be able to find some information in the show notes at defaultprofitable.com. If you're listening, again, as always, there's 3 ways you can help grow the podcast. First, leave a review wherever you listen. Second, hit subscribe wherever you listen. And third, if you hear an episode you like, share it with somebody that you actually think will be interested. James, thanks for jumping on here. That was quick. Appreciate you being a guest.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
No problem. And for our listeners, we'll be back next week with the next episode of Default Profitable. Until then, stay focused, keep working, stay profitable.